Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Lewis.
Welcome to the Rangers Journal.
Hello and welcome back to the Rangers Journal. We're doing something a bit different this time. So obviously Dylan and I for quite a long time did just the illustration side of looking at games. This time we're going to expand it a little bit. So we're going to delve into some of the stats as well. I think one of the things that stood out for me from that Dundee United game, Dylan, was that although obviously it was an incredibly disappointing result, if you actually look at the underlying stats, it was probably our best game this season creatively. And the problem for me was obviously three strikers on the pitch at different times who unfortunately couldn't finish their dinner. Do you think that's fair, or am I being too harsh on them?
No, I think you could be a lot harsher, mate, to be honest with you. No, listen, it was an attacking sense. Some of the moves and the way we got to into those shooting positions worked well. In some cases, others were maybe a bit of luck, like Magoma's goal, great technique, great finish.
Mhm.
But again, maybe another day that doesn't go in. But I also think it's something that we don't do enough of. Is test teams from sort of further out of that distance. And I think after the Falkirk game, you can see that there was definitely more intensity and a wee bit more playing forward and trying to create those half chances, I would say, rather than trying to create the perfect goal. And I think you've seen that against Dundee United. Unfortunately, the result didn't go our way. But it was, and the manager was right. It was a much better performance. But again, the strikers, like you said, mate, they're really, really poor. Really wasted a lot of money on players who currently can't hack it.
I think, that's probably a whole pod on its own, isn't it, to be fair? But, realistically, when you're spending £8 million on someone that hasn't scored a goal in 2 years professionally, then, that's a bit of a red light for me. I think to an extent they've maybe been a wee bit lucky that we have been so poor creatively this season. Because I have seen, after quite a lot of games, it's, well, he ran about a lot, but didn't get any service, didn't get any service, didn't get any service. And you can debate whether they should be doing a bit more to comment the game themselves, but ultimately it was a fair criticism. We weren't creating enough. The other night on Wednesday, we kind of flipped that on its head. I would say we did create more than enough to actually win that game, even with what wasn't necessarily our best defensive performance. I think we should have still won that game. It's just it would have been something crazy like 4-5-2 rather than a 2-0 kind of grinding it out. Let's have a look at the stats that sit under it. Sorry, you were going to say?
I think just to play devil's advocate there, if we had created more chances leading up to this game in the season, are the strikers then finishing those chances? Because they've been so starved of service, sorry, they've maybe not been. That's a new thing that happened. Like Miovski should have scored, Danilo should have scored, Chimita should have scored. They missed the ball completely. But those were three really high chance XG chances, and they should have scored. But maybe they're rusty because they've not been getting that type of service. So again, it's a difficult one to play out. Listen, I just think that it's a confidence game as well. If those strikers are confident, they probably bury all their chances. But right now, no, I don't think any player is.
And I guess that is fair to an extent. The only way we find out is if we continue to create these chances and, we see if these guys start to take them or not. You do have to think, though, from some of the comments that he's come out with and seeing performances like that alongside others, you'd have to think a number 9's got to be quite high on Roll's wish list come January. But yeah, fair point. Confidence absolutely is a thing. You mentioned XG, so we were near 4. What we've got here, just to kind of lay it out to the viewers. So obviously the stat itself on the very left of each box. The stat on the right, on the left of the two stats, that is how we performed against the season average. And then the very right-hand column is how we performed since Danny Rowe came in. Green obviously means higher, so not always a good thing, but just quite an easy indicator. Red, we're lower on it. So just looking at that attacking, I mean, you can see from the off, pretty much everything apart from offensive duels was better. Counter attacks were kind of just under, but corners, free kicks, penalties is maybe a wee bit of a kind of misleading one, but certainly corners and free kicks very much higher. And when you look at those percentages, you can see for the free kicks, we're actually 58% higher than our season average. So do you think, I mean, people tend to think, spot like free kicks, corners, example, set pieces as a whole. And they think just, shooting from that. Do you think that's something that is a sign of Stephen Fry coming in? Is it maybe just luck of the draw? What do you think would be the kind of cause of that, Dylan?
It probably maybe the last few games has amped it up a little bit. On the eye test, though, I haven't seen much variation. I'm not going to lie. But again, how much time does he have to work on it? I think my biggest worry just now is when we take a corner, it feels like it's always going to go to Fernandes. And I think everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereas I think we can maybe use him as a decoy and maybe get a rascal at a front post. But again, I'm not blaming the guy. He's just in the door. I think he will come good, but I just don't think he has enough time yet to sort of really get his teeth into them and and create those different routines. And because again, playing every 3 days, the manager's got to get results. He's still trying to implement his style, and I think we got close to maybe seeing it there on Wednesday night. But again, defensively, we were so poor, really, really poor.
So I was just going to come on to that, and I think it's a bit of a catch-22 with this squad, if I'm being totally honest, right? When he first came in, everyone was furious that we were shipping goals left, right, and centre. We were basically leakier in the sieve, let's be honest, right? He did seem to kind of knuckle that down a wee bit. I'm not going to say we were good defensively all the time. There's obviously still been mistakes, but I would say we were much more compact at the back, able to defend our line a bit better. Again, a bit like we talked about just there, it was almost flipped on its head for that Dundee game. So you can see in the middle here the defensive stats. Yeah, we were rubbish, really, defensively. I mean, we can sit and we can apply technical terms to it, but the simple fact is we were pretty poor defensively, and I think you can see that in this data here. Lots of red in there, which just suggests to me that, is this squad truly capable of playing a well-rounded game where you both defend and attack well, or for now is Roll just going to have to pick one and go with? So, almost that kind of Postecoglou approach that he had, where as long as you score more than the other team, it doesn't really matter if you ship goals. What do you think? What's the answer between now and the window closing? Do we just go for it in an attacking sense and hope that strikers come good, or do
I
we?
think I just think, Dave, that it's a team issue. I think there needs to be, and we're going to show it, but there's so many little errors that lead to the goal that could be avoided or could be dealt with differently. But I also think it's about, I wouldn't say mentality. Mentality's the wrong word. For me, there's players who are only switched on. They don't realise that
Mhm.
they're maybe in the game, and what they're doing in the game eventually is going to matter. I think sometimes that's a lack of maturity. Maybe it's with that amount of young players, just switching off a wee bit, or no realising that they should be in a certain position until it's split second too late. Things like that, I think, have a part to play in it as well. But listen, obviously the defending's got worse for the season's average. So is that because we focused so much on attacking and trying to break down Dundee United, so that the defence were just, and we will come to see it, it was a bit of shambles. And I think a better
Yeah.
team would have and probably could have scored 3 or 4 against us as well the other night.
I mean, like Club Brugge, mate.
Exactly. Aye.
Yeah.
I didn't want to bring it up.
Aye. Looking at the pass info, one of the things that Roll has called out in quite a few kind of post-match interviews and just general conversation with the media has been it's almost Clement-like, where he doesn't want to see shit sideways passes or backwards passes. I think you can see in the passing stats here, everything was significantly higher
Yeah,
except back passes and lateral passes.
and that's
They
a good thing.
dropped. Absolutely. It shows that more attacking intent for me.
Yeah,
I think, one of the most frustrating things about Russell Martin's brand of football was we must keep the ball at all costs. Doesn't matter if you're 3/4 of the way up the pitch and you haven't got a pass and you pass it back to our goalkeeper, as long as you keep the ball, he was kind of happy with that. Whereas, obviously as fans, we want to see that blood and thunder, get the ball forward, start
yeah,
attacking the opposition. And to be blunt, the players that we've got, for my mind, that's exactly what we should be doing domestically. We should be blowing most teams out of the water, and we just haven't. We've been so focused on keeping the ball, which, you shouldn't be afraid to try things and lose the ball. Okay, I'm not saying go totally reckless, but, if you're trying to play that killer pass, there's always going to be a danger that you lose it. And
yeah,
what's really key, and you mentioned mentality before, what's really key for me is not if you lose the ball, it's what you do afterwards. You know what I mean? Do you get turned, get back, start chipping in with the defence and go again? Or does your head drop? Do you lose a couple of yards and, before you know it, you're a goal behind? So for me, I was really, really pleased to see this kind of switch in the passing emphasis. Did
yeah.
you draw much from that?
Well, I mean, just for the guys who are maybe listening to it, and not looking at the stats right now, you've got forward passes is 8.58, and then since Danny Rowe came in, it's 24.89. That's a massive jump, mate, in forward passes. Massive jump. Do you know what I mean? So, obviously, lateral passes go down, back passes go down, long passes go down.
Pleasing.
So, sorry, long passes get a little bit better. Passes into the final third again increase, which is another massive thing. So I think it's trending in the right direction. If you want to call it that. And like you were saying there, when we lose the ball, how do players react? And I think the the perfect what am I trying? What's the word I'm trying to get? I don't know. But anyway, the player who done that the most, as I was trying to say, was Nadim Barami. As soon as if he lost the ball, working really, really hard, I think he tracked a man back about maybe 50 yards just to try and win it back in the left back position. Um, Showed like he's really trying for the team, and I think that can be a good. It can only be a good thing. But I think more players need to have that mentality and have that work rate. And Barami's kind of came from nowhere, from out in the cold. So he's obviously shown it. But again, it's hard to flip, especially players these days. It's hard to flip their mindset to get them into all buying into that, especially at the start of the season. I've had Russell Martin get sacked. They never won a game. Then Thelwell and Stewart, and they've spent money, and everybody's on their case, and same old Rangers. So players nowadays, whether you like it or not, feel sorry for themselves, and that's exactly what I think we see with this team. As soon as you sort of the going gets tough, they revert to form, and that has been going into their share, and instead of trying to stand up and go again, like we've seen in the past with Rangers teams. So it's interesting to see if the manager can maybe bring that out of them. Maybe a couple of new signings in January, can that galvanise the team? Because I genuinely think that if Rangers can continue that trend, what we've seen against Dundee United the other night, with creating those amount of chances, but also show up the defence, then it can only mean we get better. Celtic and Hearts aren't in the greatest place either. Hearts have dropped a lot of points. Celtic have picked up points, but they've got a new manager coming in. How's that going to fare? So I think, even though I think it's 9 points now, I'm not saying Andy's going to win the league or Andy's not going to win the league, but I think there's definitely the players should still have hope. It's not like it's an insurmountable amount of points they can't pick up. Do you know what I mean? It's 3 games, so a couple of signs in January kind of going to galvanise the team and push for at least a title race.
I think it's an interesting point about I mean, we were obviously talking about him before we came on, and I think I described him as a guy with a point to prove.
Yeah,
I guess to an extent, that's possibly where some of this criticism of roles come from about no giving Cameron and Curtis a chance. Is, would they come in with that same mentality now? Mentality isn't everything. Let's get that clear. Ability is required. Buy into the manager's setup and tactics is also required. And we don't know what happens in training. But I think just at a high level, that's maybe where some of the frustration comes in, is that you see someone like Bayrami that, as you say, was out in the cold. I mean, he was basically in Siberia for all intents and purposes. And yet when he has had a chance, he's come in and he's proper seized it. And I think, I would imagine most people are thinking, well, Cameron's got that about him. Curtis has got that about him. Curtis is a Rangers man, for God's sake. Of course he's going to have that about him. So it's one of these, and I mean, it's very easy to sit here and quarterback kind of decisions that the manager makes, but I guess you can understand where some of the fan frustration comes when these guys aren't getting minutes so far.
Yeah. I mean,
okay, let's jump on the video. So obviously, Dylan, you stole my thunder here a wee bit. You mentioned the video. What we're going to look at here is the first goal that Dundee United scored. Now, actually, the move starts for their goalkeeper. It comes from them playing it out through the back, a couple of passes up the wing, and suddenly they are in. Now, there's an awful lot to unpick here, and I think this goes back to what you were saying, Dylan, just about those kind of wee small errors that creep in and they combine, and it just sets up a situation where we struggle. And do you know what? I have been quite critical of Fernandez. Yes, he slips, right? But I think there's a lot of other stuff in here that actually would have made that a bit of a non-issue. So let's get this up and we'll go through it for those that are watching. So let me just take this back. So what we can see here is
there's one before that. There's one before that.
Ah, keep me right. Someone has to. Okay. So what we saw there was obviously just this arrow. So this is Danilo. You've got Miovski kind of facing off to the centre back. Danilo is within distance, and as the ball's been playing, we've got the arrow here that basically says, if Danilo was there, we'd be pressing them. What happens is very, very different to that. This would be the obvious kind of solution: is Danilo presses. Hopefully, if he's close enough at the time, he can force a turnover. Potentially, Miovski picks up scraps, etc. Let me just play it on a little bit, Fo, and I'll get you to go through this next section, Dylan. So we've obviously got that big bendy line there. Talk us through that and what exactly we mean by that line that you're seeing on the screen.
Yeah, so I think first of all, I think in the obviously we're watching it just now, sort of frame by frame, and Danilo's closer to the ball than Bayrami is. So for me, as the pass is getting played, he can go and jump on that player, put him under pressure, like you said. Can we maybe feed off the scraps? But Bayrami's had to cover more ground, and Danilo tucks in. So maybe that's something the manager's worked on. I don't know. For me, the reason why the line's curved is when you look at this picture just here, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Rangers players and 5 Rangers players and 4 Dundee United players, 5 including their goalkeeper, in the frame. If Bayrami curves his run, and also the defender's facing sort of his own corner flag. So if he can cover his run on the blind side to make him play back the way, then we can all go and press on the ball, go and jump on the ball. Our distances are good here. Miovski's sort of there prowling. If Barami can force him inside, then the defender's under pressure. He's probably going to go long or go for a switch, and we avoid this next part happening. But he doesn't. He runs straight at the defender, allowing him to spin and play it out to his sort of right wing back area. So again, first maybe minor error. I'm not even saying it's an error, Dave. I would just say it can maybe be done differently. If Danilo's more switched on, can he go and press that ball? Right, that doesn't happen. That's fair enough. So can Rami, instead of trying to just run straight at the defender, can he force him back into where the danger is for us? Sorry for the defence, back into a dangerous area where he has to go and try and play into the centre mid, back to his goalkeeper, maybe back to the centre back. They're not expecting it because they're not dropped off. So again, that's another thing that I would just change about this. But again, it's the start of the game. We're just looking to get high, looking to get on the press. So straight away, there's two sort of minor things that could have, if we changed it, the outcome maybe have been different, is what we're trying to say here. So we'll play to the next one. There we go. It's out to the right wing back. Now,
It's me dolls. There we go.
again,
So talk us through what we're seeing here, Dilla.
It's a tricky one, right? Because there's not a lot wrong with it. I think Makoma goes with his man. But I think it's that thing about switching off again. I'm not saying he's switched off, but could he be tighter? For me, I want my left back to be on him as he's receiving the ball, so that he can't turn and face me. That's the whole point of being tight. He's maybe 4 yards away. Now, it's not like Makoma's slow. It's not like he's Borna Barisic and he can't get there. He's quick. He's a young lad. He should be able to go and put this right wing back, under pressure. We've highlighted Nico Raskin. I wouldn't say he's in no man's land, but the striker, the Satsford boy that you can see going short to the ball, that's Raskin's danger, right? Now, he's probably standing there, the position's in just now, in case Makoma wins it, then he can go and play out. But for me, you're not in control of the ball. Just go and... Dave, just 2 seconds, mate, sorry. They're my door.
Yeah, no worries. I'll carry on. So yeah, basically what we're trying to say here is if Raskin was a bit closer to the striker who's dropped in, then potentially that gives Fernandez the option to sit a little bit further back. Now, obviously this is based on hindsight. It's quite easy for us to sit here and pull this apart. You have to imagine that Danny Rule will be doing the same with the squad. They will be looking at things like these and adjusting the tactics week on week. What actually happens here is Fernandez and the Dundee United striker end up in a foot race. Fernandez is beaten in said race. If Raskin was just a few inches closer, then potentially Fernandez starts a wee bit further back. And what that then means is that he's not playing catch up when the United striker spins. He would be able to face him up. So, Dylan, talk us through Gassama here, because we've highlighted him as well, and people might be wondering why, because he's the opposite side of the pitch.
Yeah. So again, if Raskin, like you said, mate, if he just drops a yard or two to shut off that pass, like you say, Fernandez doesn't have to go as tight, and he can just allow Raskin to screen that. And then if the ball's put in behind, he's covering it. So again, the Makoma's minor error, Raskin's, I wouldn't say it's a minor error, but you know what we're trying to get at there. If things, those sort of, let's call them minor errors, that's 4 already that's happened, and it's only been 2 passes from Dundee United. So if those don't happen, this doesn't have the outcome. Gassama here, again, young player. He's a right winger, forward player, but ball's on the other side of the park. And again, you'll come in to see why we've highlighted him. For me, he's got to check his shoulder here. I wouldn't say he's ball watching because the ball's nowhere near him, but he's got to be aware of what's behind him. The reason we're saying that, when we play it on, I don't expect him to be in line with Tav marking, but I do expect him to be at least aware of the player that's there, because what we'll come to see is it's a very good counter attack from Dundee United and a shocking defensive line from us.
I think the key thing with Gassama for me is you're looking for your players almost to build a catalogue in their head of kind of what's happening around them, and it
Yeah.
just saves you that. It's not even a second, it's like half a second that will then, because you know what's happening around you, you're reacting instantly instead of taking that second or half a second to check and then react.
Yeah.
Very, very small margins, but again, if everything that we had said happened, so, or certainly if Raskin was closer, maybe he doesn't pick that pass, maybe he looks for the switch. And again, as you've said, Dylan, we'll kind of highlight that in a few minutes as to what that danger would have been. So yeah, balls on the other side, still expect the players on this side to be kind of well aware and thinking
Yeah,
what
I
comes
think
next.
Gassama he's in line with sort of Conor Barron and that. It doesn't look as if he's in a bad position here, but for me, if that player decided to switch the ball, I would want him sort of 5-10 yards closer to the halfway line.
Yeah,
Especially
absolutely.
when a
So
left
let's
back.
This is what we're talking about. This slide, which puts him he's trying to recover, but he doesn't quite. Now, what we've got here in essence is 4-on-2. So you've got the 4 Dundee United players, we've got 2 central defenders. Yes, Fernandez is there, but as we've just seen from watching this, he's very much out of the game. So instantly, we've got a massive overload against, and okay, we know that this boy finishes it himself. However, if he hadn't been able to, and we'll come to that in just a minute because Dylan's got a wee bit he's going to talk you through just on the goal itself. But if that hadn't come to pass, as he drives into the byline, he'd be looking for a cutback, and United have got a massive overload in there. So let's just play it on, Dylan, and then I'll get you to talk us through this next. Okay, so we've got some arrows, we've got Super Jack bearing down on him, and we've got, if we scored it, I'd say it's a lovely dinked goal, but because they scored it, they got a goal. Talk us through the scenario we're seeing here, Phil Dylan.
I think maybe because it's so early in the game, Butland panics and for me, he doesn't have to press the ball. Look at where Satsford's has dinked the ball from. See if Butland's standing on his line, a couple of yards off his line there. He's looking for a cutback now. Again, they might still score from it, but we don't hand them the goal. Dundee United players, again, it's not their runs are very good. They're just sort of all run into the box. I think for me, Butland makes the strikers or the wingers mind up for him. He comes, he dives low at his feet. Even if he comes out and stays big, he doesn't get chipped like that. If the cutback does happen, Jika's in a good place to sort of maybe intercept it, maybe get something on it. For me, the only way I could if Butland stayed on his line, if they fire the ball sort of across to the back post and your number 7, I think it is for Dundee United, I think he would maybe go into it, and that would be Gassama's man, who we were highlighting earlier. But again, I just think it's those bad decision making from Butland to steam away out there. Like, it's not like he's dribbling at you 1-on-1 with the ball. He's dribbling into the box. He's off balance. There is recovering defenders. Even though it's a 4v2, you don't have to commit yourself like that. Just stay on your line or a couple of yards off your line. Be on your toes, be ready. In case the ball does get flashed across, can you get down to it? Can you palm it out? I think there's so many different options that could have happened. I think he sells himself short here. And I think he's probably been one of the better players this season. But look at where the guy scored from. It's a really poor goal to lose. And if I don't even think Tav could get back in, if Butland does sort of steam out to that, can Tav switch on and get back into the goal line? But I think it happens too quick, mate, and it kind of just sells himself, makes the strikers mind up for him and dinks him. It's a really, really good finish.
It is a good finish, in fairness. Much as I'd rather we'd scored it, but yeah, it's absolutely a good finish. And I think the key for me, again, we kind of talked on this as we were drawing it up. If Butland stays on his line, right, that guy's still driving the byline at that stage. Literally a second later, Jig is on him.
Yeah.
So, he could even get the tackle in before there's a cutback if the boys kind of, rush of blood to the head. As you say, he might be able to intercept a cutback, but he's there, he's covering it, and you just take
If,
away that option. If you try to chip him, Butland's on his line, it's catching practice for
yeah,
Butland,
and
isn't it?
if Butland stays sort of tall, a yard or two off his line, it's a much harder finish for the boy. The say he does
Mm.
keep it on hard and go across the goal and it hits it inside the other far post and goes in. Yeah, fair enough. It's a good goal. You've beat the goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? But it makes it easy for him, and it's just a leaves a sour taste in my mouth.
Agreed. Okay. I'm not going to finish out the video. All you're missing is the Dundee United player celebrating. Nobody wants to see that. So this is the image that I was saying the Gassama markup will make sense. I'm just going to fire it up now. This is a more aerial shot. The ball itself is over on the touchline, so it's at
Just
that
about to be
point
played,
where
yeah.
we showed Magoma could be a couple of yards closer to his man, Raskin a couple of yards closer to the striker that Fernandez is on. But this is the reverse of it. So Dylan, just talk us through this kind of scenario and what could have happened here. What you would be looking for in a similar situation.
Listen, it's very tough to say because of how we're set up as a team, right? For me, Dundee United played a sort of like a 5-3-3, no, 5-3-2, 5-2-3. I think it was. Sorry, my mistake. 5-2-3. And because they've got the three strikers, which you can see two of them are in the centre circle, and one's the one that goes and spins Fernandez. They then get their wing backs high as well. Now, if you're playing against a 5 or a 3 at the back, your wingers have to basically go man for man with their wing backs. And even though I don't want Gassama in there because he's an attacking player, see if they switch the ball, that's where it's going. And if I was playing me a 5 at the back, that's what I'd be telling their player to do. Switch the play all the time because that's how you get out it. You're essentially attacking with your front three, and so you're essentially attacking with 5 players against a 4. So again, mate, I think it's poor. It's poor defending. It's poor organisation. It's poor awareness. Now, nothing happens with this incident, Gassama not tucking in. But if it becomes a regular habit, then teams will start picking up on it. And the boys get acres of space to run into. He's in his own half now. If that pass even gets played between Fernandez and Gia diagonally along the ground, he's in. So I just want to maybe a wee bit more aware. Can he drop 5, maybe 10 yards back just to protect that? And we've highlighted Raskin as well. Can he just shift towards the incoming striker? Again, I think they need to work it very well. You get it out to the sort of centre half. Magoma gets dragged up touch tight to the line, but he's not quick enough. Play it into him. The striker goes short and spins in behind. That's something that Dundee United's worked on. When it comes to the Rangers, I don't see any of that. I don't see the strikers coming short and spinning in behind and the ball going over the top. And that's something that irks me when we watch Rangers because it's all ball to feet, ball to feet, ball to feet. There's no runners
I've
in
had this
behind.
discussion. I had
Yeah,
this discussion just the other week when the guys were saying about Chermiti and he'd had rubbish service and what was he meant to do, and I'm like, well, why isn't he coming back and getting himself involved? Very, very much like this boy for Dundee United has. Make yourself available, get that wee spin, get yourself
yeah,
into space, and you see from the Dundee United move how quickly you can just drop in, spin in, and suddenly you've got a 4-on-2 basically. I
yeah.
mean that should absolutely be something we're doing, especially with players like Gassama in the team, because he's got pace to burn.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Once he gets that spin, and we did see it a few times in this game, once he gets that turn and gets running, there's very few players that can
Yeah.
catch him. So, yeah, I'd love to see that as well. Okay, so that's it for tonight. I guess my sort of parting question to you, Dylan, do you think that this was a flash in the pan from the creative side, or do you expect that, we're going to rock up Blake O'Marnock and play him much the same way?
I
I
think,
won't hold you to it, don't worry.
yeah, I think it's a hard one, mate, because I think we were so poor and so passive against Falkirk, and Falkirk stifled us. They made us like that. I think leading up to the Dundee game, and my perception of it is he worked on attack the full time, but he also lost 2 goals. So he'll probably try and be more balanced training, more balanced. So I don't think we'll see as fluid, and even though we weren't that good going forward, we created a lot more chances. I don't think you'll see as much of that, but maybe half of it, and more focused on not getting caught that high up the park with those runners. Again, it depends how Kilmarnock are going to turn up. Are they going to have wing backs as well? Because if they are, then it's going to cause Rangers a problem. And again, it's
You're going to
something
get splinters in your arse sitting on that fence, Dylan.
that I know, mate.
No,
I know.
I do take your point. I think, in fairness, that's one thing I would say about Rule is he seems very attuned to the support and kind of what they want. When he first came in, as we said, everyone wanted the defence shored up. We did that to an
Yeah,
extent. Then, the fans after Falkirk, as you say, wanted to see more attacking football. We did that. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how he approaches this one. Hopefully, we will be back to go through, hopefully, the shorts of
right.
a win. That would be nice. So, Dylan, thanks very much for joining me tonight, mate.
No problem at all, mate. It's good to be back.
Absolutely. And for those watching, if you did enjoy what you've seen, please do like and subscribe to the channel. But for now, every night's a Rangers Journal now.
Every night is the Rangers Journal night.